the broader problem we have in the society with men's violence against women in domestic relationships, as well as women's feelings of fear as they walk on the street. And it only takes one or two incidents to make every woman afraid. So this notion that just because it's a few crimes doesn't mean that all women should be fearful, I think is unfair, because when you're a woman and you feel that, particularly when we have stranger murders, right, then you feel that it's out of your control. So I think there's something to be said for policing and crime. There's a lot to be said for mental health, but I think there's a lot more to be said for a broader national conversation about how we raise our boys, what we do to allow them to have more vulnerable conversations, a whole range of things that have to do with masculinity and making boys grow up in a way that doesn't allow their aggression to take control of their lives.
I mean, we should reflect too that we won't go into the details because it's sub judice, but the most recent of these horrific murders of a young woman involved complex issues around homelessness, around mental illness and drug abuse.
And
so
lack of,
these are, I mean, it's quite sort of complex, but they do lead to...
It's not just masculinity, but I think ultimately it's also about having many people in our society who don't have a safety net. So it's about dealing with wider questions of vulnerability. Yeah, Jimmy, and I've got to say, because I was horrified when I read your first book, Working Class Boy, about some of the incidents that you recounted, because you've seen some pretty shocking incidents, violence against women within your own family. Yeah, it's a very complex problem. It's generational. It's not going to be something that's solved. You know, this is we're going to have to, you know, teach our children from day one. It's got to be about education in schools. It's got to be support for, you know, for families, support for women. I mean, women are afraid to leave. How does a young girl, you know, end up sleeping in a paddock by herself when there's not enough, you know, places for homeless people, you know, to be have refuge. There's funding cuts to, you know, to drug programs, to support groups. It's really very, very complicated. The things I've seen at home, you know, I just don't think it's. And what do they make you think? I mean, just to recount one of those incidents. Oh, you know, it was your brother-in-law, I guess.
Well, my sister got married, and my sister got married.
The night of the wedding, the most appalling thing happened.
And you know, he was just basically was an asshole. But he was you know, he was a drunk, and he on the night of my sister's wedding, he nearly beat her to death, and that was the end of the wedding. You know, he tied her hair around a barbed wire fence and punched the hell out of her. You know, and this was, you know, this was.
What drives a man to do that?
I don't know, but I've seen this sort of behaviour, you know, many nights in our home. You know, with my father, with my mother's friends would constantly be in the house with black eyes and fat lips. I'd see my mum lying on the floor. This is something that, you know, that you shouldn't have to see. But and the other side of that coin is that men are also, you know, so unsupported and so, you know, not dealing with their own emotions, that they're killing themselves in droves as well. So if they're not killing women, they're killing men as well. Yeah. And I think this is a real complex, you know, mental health, poverty, you know, all sorts of issues that will have to be dealt with at once here. And it's really going to take, it's going to be generational change. But it's something, this can't go on. There's got to be tougher penalties, you know. There's got to be better support for women. There's got to be, but violence against women, you know, throw the key away as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.